In 1966, two men were found dead on a hill in Brazil. They were dressed in suits, raincoats, and strange homemade lead masks covered their eyes. Beside them was a cryptic note that read, 1630, be at agreed location. 1830, ingest capsules. After effect, protect metals, await signal. So what were they waiting for? And why did two ordinary men climb a hill dressed like they were preparing for something no one else could see? Welcome back to Echoes and Oddities, where we look into true stories that are strange, forgotten, and mysterious. These are the stories that often leave us with more questions than answers. I'm Ivy Monroe, and today's episode is part of my Bizarre Lunchtime Tales series. These are shorter bonus stories you can watch in between the longer deep dive videos that I do weekly, whether you're on your lunch break, multitasking, or just have a few minutes to get lost in a mystery. These would be perfect for you. These are the strange cases, eerie mysteries, and odd little pieces of history that don't always need a full deep dive, but definitely deserve to be told. And if you like these shorter stories, make sure you check out the full Bizarre Lunchtime Tales playlist after this video. Today's mystery takes us to Niterói, Brazil, in August of 1966. The two men at the center of this case were Miguel José Viana and Manuel Pereira da Cruz. They were both electronics technicians from Campos dos Goytacazes, a city in the state of Rio de Janeiro. At first glance, there was nothing especially strange about them. They had jobs, families, normal lives. But on August 17, 1966, Miguel and Manuel left home and told their families they were going on a work-related trip to buy supplies or equipment. They reportedly carried a large amount of money with them. And this is where the story starts to get strange. Instead of simply buying materials and returning home, Miguel and Manuel traveled to Niterói, a city across the bay from Rio de Janeiro. Once there, they were seen buying raincoats. They also bought a bottle of water. And according to one reported witness account, one of the men seemed nervous, almost like he was watching the time, like they had somewhere to be, or something they could not miss. Later, investigators would learn that the men had climbed a place known as Morro do Vintém, or Vintém Hill. And then, for a few days, they vanished. When their bodies were finally discovered on the hill, the scene made almost no sense. Miguel and Manuel were lying near each other. They were dressed in formal suits. Over the suits, they wore raincoats. And covering their eyes were the same strange, handmade lead masks. These were not full face masks. They were more like heavy metal eye coverings, almost shaped like oversized glasses. And that detail is what gave the case its name, the lead masks case. At the scene, there were no obvious signs of violence. No gunshot wounds, no stab wounds, no clear evidence of a fight. No sign that someone had attacked them on the hill. Near the bodies, investigators reportedly found an empty water bottle, 2 towels, and a small notebook or piece of paper with a message written inside. And that message is one of the creepiest parts of the entire case. The note included timed instructions. It said something close to 1630, be at the agreed location. 1830, ingest capsules. After effect, protect metals. Await signal. Mask. Now just pause there for a second. These two men were found dead on a hill. They were wearing raincoats and formal suits. They had lead masks over their eyes. And the note beside them talked about taking capsules, protecting metals, and waiting for a signal. That sounds like something out of a science fiction story. But this was a real investigation. The problem is, the investigation never gave a clean answer. The official cause of death was never confirmed.
By the time authorities needed toxicology answers, the bodies had already decomposed. And the testing that might have explained whether the men ingested some kind of poison or drug was either inconclusive or could not properly be completed. So despite all the strange details, no one could say for sure what killed them. And because there were no obvious injuries, the case quickly opened the door to theories. One theory is that Miguel and Manuel were involved in some kind of spiritual or scientific experiment. There are reports that they were interested in electronics, spiritualism, and possibly trying to make contact with forces beyond the ordinary world. Some versions of the story suggest they believed the lead masks would protect them during whatever they expected to happen. But that is important to frame carefully. We do not know exactly what they believed. We do not know exactly what the masks were for. And we do not know what kind of signal the note was talking about. Another theory is that they took capsules, possibly as part of an experiment, and accidentally poisoned themselves. That would explain the note mentioning capsules, but again, because the toxicology evidence was not clear, this cannot be proven. It is only a theory. Then there is the robbery theory. The men reportedly had a large amount of money with them when they left home, and most of that money was missing when the bodies were found. That raises a very real question. Did someone lure them there? Did someone take advantage of their beliefs? Were they tricked into taking something? Or was the missing money completely separate from what happened? There were also UFO rumors. Some witnesses reportedly claimed they saw strange lights near the area around the time of the deaths. And because the men were found wearing lead masks and waiting for a signal, newspapers and UFO researchers connected the case to the possibility that Miguel and Manuel believed they were about to make contact with something in the sky. But to be clear, there is no proof that a UFO had anything to do with their deaths. What we do know is that the case had all the ingredients for that kind of theory. 2 mysterious deaths, strange equipment, a cryptic note, possible capsules, and a signal that never came. And that is what makes this case so haunting, because every explanation answers one question, but creates another. If they accidentally poisoned themselves, why the lead masks? If they were part of a spiritual experiment, who gave them the instructions? If someone robbed them, why leave the note behind? If they were waiting for a signal, what did they think was going to happen at 6:30 that evening? And maybe the strangest question of all, were Miguel and Manuel victims? Or were they willing participants in something they truly believed would work? More than 50 years later, the lead masks case remains one of Brazil's strangest unsolved mysteries. 2 ordinary men left home for what sounded like a normal work trip. They ended up dead on a hill wearing handmade metal masks. And the only clue they left behind was a note telling them to take capsules, protect metals, and wait. So now I want to know what you think. Was this a strange experiment gone wrong? Were they tricked by someone? Was it connected to spiritual beliefs, UFO rumors, or something much more ordinary that just looked bizarre because key evidence was lost? Let me know in the comments, because this is one of those cases where every theory feels possible, but none of them feel complete. And if you like short but true strange stories like this, check out my Bizarre Lunchtime Tales playlist next. I'll link it for you so you can keep watching more short mysteries, odd cases, and forgotten stories that still don't have easy answers. And as always, I'll see you soon for another strange story soon.